I heard a great case this morning. Statistics show that the greater the age difference between the couple, the shorter the marriage. And age turned into the issue that brought the couple before me today in divorce court.
Divorce court is now in session.
Mr. Kyer and Mr. Tilbury, the two of you got married 3 days after Indiana allowed same-sex couples to get married, correct?
Yes.
And that's been just about a year ago. Now you're ready to get divorced, correct?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what led up to that as soon as we could get married decision to get married?
Well,
How deep was your relationship when that change in the law occurred?
When that change actually took place, we were together probably about 4 years at that point.
Okay.
We both talked about wanting to get married, but we held off until it was going to be legalized.
Right.
So after it became legal, because of our status in the relationship at that point, we immediately decided to get married. So that's why the third day after it became legal in Indiana, we went down and got married.
So, Mr. Tilbury, would you agree that you two were ready to get married already, just didn't have the opportunity to do so? Or was it like, wow, we can do this, and not a lot of thought went into it?
I would say not a lot of thought went into it.
Were you ready to be committed? Because you're young. You were 21 at the time?
Yes.
Yes. That's pretty young to get married. Were you really ready?
At the time, I thought I was, but now that I look back, I realize I wasn't.
Okay. How did you two meet?
We met through a mutual friend, and he worked as a flight attendant, and he would come and visit, and I was living with our mutual friend at the time, and when he came to visit, I seen him in his flight attendant outfit. I wanted to laugh at him.
You wanted to laugh at him?
Yeah, because he looked funny.
Well, that's not a good start, but anyway. I mean, but you know, love has blossomed out of stranger things, so I get that part. Mr. Kyer, you're significantly older than Mr. Tilbury. Did that bother you at all, that difference in your ages?
No, I mean, in my eyes, age is a number. It's about how you feel about the person you're with. So it didn't faze me one bit.
You know what? I hear people say age is nothing but a number, but it's not. It's shorthand for what you haven't done. It's shorthand for what you haven't experienced. It is an indication of what you don't know and a bigger indication of how little you know about how much you don't know. So it is more than a number. It's not always the same, but it is shorthand for I haven't seen much. But anyway, how did the relationship progress? I mean, as far as, was everybody into it? Did you move in together?
Well, I was actually, when I originally met him, I was living in Cleveland and then came to visit our mutual friend, and that's when I actually met him. I actually was there just for 2 days. He and I got to know each other a little bit at that point, and we kind of had an instant attraction, obviously after getting out of the flight attendant uniform. So I ended up leaving him my number. I went back to Ohio, and about every day he was calling me. I ended up moving in with him and our mutual friend probably about a month later.
A month after you two initially met?
Correct.
In person, but had been talking online earlier?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So I moved down there. He and I became closer and closer, and probably maybe 2 months after that is actually we talked about dating, and we started dating.
A romantic relationship.
Right.
Now, Mr. Tilbury, there was something very interesting that you said in your papers, and that became a huge issue between the two of you, which is his job as a flight attendant freaked you out.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was very stressful for me because the more I grew to have feelings for him, the more I cared about him, the more I wasn't comfortable with him always gone, and I only get to see him 2 days of the week. And one day I was watching the news and I heard about a plane crash. And I immediately thought it was his plane. And I started calling him and calling him. I called
Was
him.
it a plane that was flying the route he was on?
It was the same airline as his that he worked for. And I thought it was his plane. So I started panicking. I tried calling him, no answer, got voicemail. Tried calling him again. I called him at least 20 times. And finally, I thought I was too late, and I left on his voicemail, I guess I'm too late. Just remember, I always love you.
That's, that breaks my heart. That's very, very sweet. Did you look to see where the plane was flying to and from? Did you look up
No.
any information? Did you call the airlines and do
No,
any of
I
that? You
was-
just went straight to he's dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mr. Kyer, did you find that endearing or a little frightening that he went from 0 to 1,000 so quickly?
I mean, I found it enduring. I mean, I ended up landing on the flight I was working and turned my phone on, and that's where I got the message from him. So obviously, immediately after I deplaned everyone, I called him, let him know, hey, I'm okay. I'll call you when I can.
The next thing I want to talk about, and I think this has something to do with your age difference, is who's supporting whom, not only economically, but emotionally, and who's making decisions about what the two of you are doing, both emotionally and economically, and how you two ended up in a situation that I feel is both emotionally and economically hysterical.
His job was beginning to be too stressful for me, so I told him, choose me or your job.
Have you been living together for years but find that splitting up is as complicated as getting a divorce? Call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mr. Kyer, I got to say, you did something that just blew my mind. It sounds romantic on the surface, but it just blew my mind. Now, you know what it is, don't you?
I believe so.
Well, why don't you tell me what I think it is?
It's the fact that I financially supported him. I chose to have him stay at home, take care of the house when we were in the relationship. At that point, I was making good money with the airlines because I was with him for so long.
Right.
So anything he wanted, he got it. On my days off, we went out to eat, to the movies, made sure he had his cigarettes.
Because he wasn't working.
No.
Right.
And that was something we agreed upon at that point because I could financially do it. I told him, he actually talked about going to further his education. He wanted to get in culinary arts school, and I told him, pursue that. As I was making the money at that point, I could do that.
Did you pursue that?
I tried, but the culinary arts school that I wanted to go to told me to go to a different college, get some credits under my belt, and then come back.
And then come back. Did you go to the college and get some credits under your belt?
I started doing online college, and our relationship made a turn, and I ended up having to drop out.
When you say your relationship made a turn, what kind of turn was it?
His job was beginning to be too stressful for me, so I asked him, choose me or your job.
That's the part that made me crazy. Right there, that's the part that made me crazy. You were making good money. You were supporting him completely, all of which is cool, because people could make those deals. But then he says, your job is upsetting me, so be broke. Lose your job. Did you not fight for the right to keep your job or tell him how ridiculous it was not to have an income?
I mean, I did tell him that, it's going to be stressful trying to find another job, especially some job that pays as well as I was getting paid.
And your response was?
I understand that, but I can't take the stress. I can't take constantly worrying about you.
Were
if
you
you're
worrying
gonna come
about
home
him
or
crashing?
not.
Is that what you
Yes.
were worrying about?
Yes.
Did you worry about him driving to work?
No.
Do you know it's much more dangerous driving to work than it is flying in a plane? Much more.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, much more. You die more in your slipping in the tub than in the plane. You know, it makes big news, but all of the tens of thousands of planes that are flying today don't make any news. That's what my husband told me when I told him I didn't want to fly. I'm just letting you know that. You know, I understand the fear of flying, but Mr. Kyer, as an older, because you're 13 years older than he is, as an older, more established, more thoughtful individual, wouldn't you just tell him, I cannot do that until I am otherwise employed?
I've actually tried explaining that to him, but he was so persistent on either the job or him, our relationship. And I didn't want to give up the relationship.
What did you expect would happen when he quit? I mean, where did you expect the money to come from?
I thought with his experience of being a flight attendant and having so many years of working, I thought he would find another job quick. And
you know,
I was mistaken.
Experience as a flight attendant makes it easier to get a job as a flight attendant. Did you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, well, now you can be a neurosurgeon because you had a lot of years and did well at this certain thing. You didn't think it through at all, did you, Mr. Tilbury?
No, not really.
If he wasn't thinking, why weren't you? I mean, it just makes me crazy. My mother always told you, don't quit one job until you have another one. Don't ever do it.
I mean,
if you get fired, that's one thing, because you can't help that. But if you got a job and you knew you have to leave it, you get another one first.
I mean, I was expecting it to be a little easier to find a job than what it was. I mean, I've put in apps online for different companies. I've put in different job applications in person. I've called and left messages to try to follow up on them, and it was just, I wasn't getting calls back. So I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. He's actually been on different social media sites, hooking up with people, cheating on me, thinking I'm not going to find out, and which I did.
For what I've done.
If you would like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. So after the big crazy happened, because that's what I call the big crazy, you get, to me, I mean, I have a job, I'm still looking for a job. You know what I mean? Just, you never know. Mr. Tilbury, what is it like now that you're together, economically stressed, and apparently very unhappy?
Well, recently I found a message on social media. Him plotting to go meet up with other guys, to have sex with other guys, telling other guys that he's divorcing me. He wants a man, not a boy. He waited 7 years for me to grow up. 7 years is long enough, and I'm just done. I'm done.
That's a lot to see. Mr. Kyer, did that happen?
It did happen. Part of the reason why I did it is because he's done it to me in the past, and I wanted him to feel how it made me feel when he did it to me.
What did he do to you in the past? What did he say?
Over several years, he's actually been on different social media sites, hooking up with people, cheating on me, thinking I'm not going to find out, and which I did.
Paid for what I've done.
How long in the relationship was it before you started running around on him?
I would say probably about a year.
This guy was paying all your bills, taking care of all the business, and you decided to run around with other people?
I was also on drugs back then.
So it was just a mess.
Yeah.
It was just a mess. Did you know about his illicit activity with pharmaceuticals?
Yes, and I pushed him to quit on it. And I eventually gave him a choice after he was actually hospitalized for a week.
Almost lost my life.
And to either it was give up that or give up me. Because I stayed by his bedside for that whole entire week he was in that hospital.
And after that occurrence, did you continue to cheat on him, or were you pretty much done with it?
I was done.
So it was part of that messed up experience. And
Yes.
did you trust and believe in that? Because that happens sometimes. Or do you think he was continuing to cheat on you even after that occurred?
I honestly think he was still doing it even after that occurred. but
Wish I
I had
wasn't.
no proof.
Yeah. But you say no, it didn't happen.
No, it
But
did
either
not
way, then you guys started going tit for tat with the social media and saying mean things to one another or saying things that would hurt one another, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it went back and forth for a while, and he would do it to me, I would do it to him, thinking, okay, fine, maybe if it's done to him, he'll learn and he'll see what it feels like to have it done.
Oh, I don't believe that. No one does, oh, he'll learn anything. It's just you were hurt, so you were hurting him back. That's what people do.
You was getting even.
Yeah, getting even, tit for tat. It happens all the time. Listen, he was 21 when you got him. What did you expect?
It was my first relationship with a younger person, and thinking, okay, fine, yeah, eventually he'd grow up and learn, and I wanted to be there to support him because I had those feelings for him, and I thought he would be willing to settle down.
Do you think you were ready to settle down at 21, or did it just look to you like he was a stable dude with a good job and you could kind of ease into it a little bit?
Ease into it.
Yeah. In divorce court, couples tell me everything about their relationships. Want to share your experience? Join the conversation on our Twitter page at Divorce Court. On Facebook, check out other fans and their intimate issues. You know everybody has something to say about love. What's on your mind? Mr. Kyer, I could be way off on this, but I'm just going to throw this out here. You still have feelings for Mr. Tilbury, don't you?
I mean, I do, but there needs to be a lot of growing up. I mean, I do care for him, but I'm not in love with him.
Okay. So if he left here today, looked you in the eye and said, baby, I'm going to change, I'm going to do better, you wouldn't take him back?
No, because I don't believe it at this point. I don't.
And I'm certain that's nothing that you're looking to say. Correct.
I don't feel like I need to change. It's him that needs to do the changing.
Well, what does he need to change? Because from where I sit, he did a whole lot for you. He
I understand
supported
that,
you,
but-
and he walked away from a job that he was good at and that he had seniority for. What pain did he cause you that makes you so upset with him?
Just constantly trying to get even with me just because of what I've done in the past. My past is my past, and I've paid for what I've done in the past. I think almost losing my life, I've paid for what I've done.
So you think he's just holding on to what happened 5, 6 years ago?
He can't let the past go. He says he forgave me, that bygones are bygones, but in his actions don't tell me otherwise.
Are you acting like a full-grown man, though, Mr. Tilbury, all the time? Are you?
Sometimes I will admit, sometimes I'm a little childish.
You're a little kitty with the social media and all that kind of nonsense. You know,
Yes.
I tell you, once you hurt somebody like that, once you cheat on them, which rips their heart out, they just are like, oh, well, it's over with, I'm done. And then you continue to be a little childish about what you do on social media, it won't let that wound heal. So you, to some extent, bought your own continuing distrust by not being a full-grown man when you needed to be a full-grown man. And let me say this to you, Mr. Kyer, I say this to people all the time. Young and hot is a lovely thing. Young and hot and tender and warm and cute and moldable and malleable. It's a lot of fun for about 1.5 years. And then all of the I'm young, I'm immature, all of that starts to happen because the glow is off for both of you and everybody begins to act their age. And so, you know, if I were you, I'd be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. There will be no recovery in this matter. It is so ordered. You know, marriage always requires compromise. There's no doubt about that. But when your partner asks you to change who you are, what you do, how you conduct your business, how you live, how you work, then that isn't compromise. That is a collapse.